today's KD Club podcast. You might remember Jo from one of our previous podcasts. She's the co-owner of By Elleven. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about sustainability and some of the questions you've emailed in, and we're going to try and answer those as best we can. So, Jo, lovely to see you again.
Thank you for having me.
Briefly, we're thinking about sustainability and a sustainability project within the KD Club. Mm-hmm. So, if I'm brand new to fashion, I'm 15, 16, what does sustainability mean to you? Obviously, it's different to every person, every brand, every business. What does it mean to you and your
It's a broad term, isn't it? It's a really broad term. For us, it's about slowing things down. It's the antithesis of fast fashion. Mm-hmm. So we call ourselves a slow fashion business rather than a sustainable business.
Okay.
Because we don't want to greenwash. And ultimately, if you are creating new clothes, it's not sustainable because you're adding things into the population of what's already out there.
Yeah.
So it's slow fashion. So it's about buying less, buying better, and buying clothes that are more ethically and sustainably produced. So organic cotton, so you haven't got pesticides going into the water, that type of thing. Obviously, we do recycled fabrics and we use vintage as well. Okay. So there's no newness going out there. It's already clothes that are already in circulation, and we upcycle. It's slowing it all down, and it's it's the longevity of clothes as well. So buying things that you can wear over and over. I'm not saying for 10 years, we don't do leather products and things like that, but things that you can wear over and over that won't snap or fall to bits. They'll keep their colour. Our prints are all, so we do screen printing, but it's all screen printed by hand. Amazing. So that the prints stay really true.
Yeah.
And all of those things make a difference, because when you've got a T-shirt, if the print stays true in your head, you think it still looks new.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to touch on some of those terms, obviously we're seeing them so much more on Instagram, which is great. You've got your H&M, you've got your big brands who are trying to, touch on this. Mm-hmm. It's all a bit crazy. But if we talk about you as a brand that we can sort of align with, if you're thinking about slow fashion, so let's break it down. What does upcycling mean? So if I wanted to upcycle a product, how would I do that?
It's as simple as taking something that's already in existence. It doesn't have to be vintage. It can be something that you own already, that you go, I don't wear that in its current form. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to make it into something that I want to wear in a different way. So we've done, we do a lot of tailoring. So our tailoring, for example, we will make it so it fits into a slimmer fit.
Oh, perfect. So taking a larger jacket
and altering it so it's so it becomes something that you can, because I like an oversized, so I will put any jacket on in any form, but what we've realised and what we've come to realise is that not all customers do. Yeah. So they want to put it on their fit, so that's where the tailoring comes in. In terms of shirts, you could crop a shirt if you've got a big oversized shirt and you think I don't wear it like that, and you want to wear the high-waisted trousers, cut it off, hem it. It's upcycled, but then you can go as far as change it into something completely different. You could make it into something designer inspired. I saw the Miu Miu shirt, which was the crop version. It's got little crystals all over. It's as simple as it's DIY.
Customizing.
It's kind of the same thing,
Yeah. So if you think about I'm teen, I'm just getting started in fashion. Obviously, I'm very aware of, the way things are going at the minute. So I've got a shirt. You could upcycle it, you could customise it, and then you can reprice it and you can sell it on.
Yeah, because it's the effort and the work and the time. I think that's what people need to remember. It's like when you, it's not that it's the same. It's no longer the same garments. Yeah. It's like a glass of wine in a restaurant. You pay for someone to chill it and serve it and wash the glass for you afterwards. Yeah. With the item you've taken it, even if you buy it secondhand or it's something that you've already got, if you spend time making it into a new garment that someone wants to wear, then that's upcycling. So
I'm a teen now and I'm thinking about, maybe starting my own business. And then I take a bunch of shirts. Yeah. So you could go to your own charity shop, you could buy them on eBay, you could use shirts you already own that you no longer wear. And so to keeping these in, it's almost like circular, isn't it? It's keeping them in
circular fashion's another term. And it's what's something that comes into circulation. So the ultimate goal is it doesn't end up on landfill.
Okay.
Because that's where the problem lies, is that the world can't cope with the amount of garments that are going to landfill, and fast fashion fuels that.
Yeah.
can't be recycled, especially things like man-made fibres can't be recycled. They take years to break down. And that putting circular fashion means that it just doesn't end. Yeah, that's what it is ultimately. It doesn't end up on landfill. So you can take something that potentially might have gone to landfill because either it was damaged, nobody wanted it, it was ugly in its current form, or it just didn't fit into what you wanted, and you make it into something new and you give it another lease of life, and then eventually, it could be upcycled again, because obviously what you take off can go back on. It can keep going and going and going, but ultimately I think it's got to be something that started off as a pretty decent quality, especially men's shirts, men's tailored shirts.
That's what I'm thinking. That's an easy one.
It's a great one because they're especially when the effort that's gone into them, they've been done on a pattern. Most of them are done in even high street, like some Marks and Spencer shirts. Absolutely. They're nice quality, and there's no reason, especially when maybe they've greyed, maybe the collar's faded a little bit, maybe in part the cuffs need to come off, and then but the possibilities are endless.
Absolutely, because I'm thinking, I'm not necessarily good at sewing on the sewing machine, so I don't want to make a garment from scratch. And to touch on the point that you said earlier, which was creating more clothes is adding to the problem. Yeah. That is true. So if you're using something that's already been manufactured, then to change it up, you can do it so easily. It's such an easy, small project just to get you into it.
Yeah, even if you can't, I can't sew.
Neither can I.
Terrible. What does that say? I can't sew a button on, but I've always, I used to have a little go myself, and then I've realised now there's certain things that you need to outsource, and that is absolutely one of them.
Same.
But there are people who don't have a design, don't have the idea. If you've got the idea but someone else can sew, you make the perfect marriage.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, and use that. And then if you're going to resell it anyway, you just build that into your margin. But the possibilities are endless. Yeah. And I think if we look at things that go into charity shops that are on Vinted, I think it's about there's so much, so much stuff on there now, and I think it's just about going, what's there, what was good in the first place, what's got good bones, that's great. Which items got good bones that I can then go, I'll change that into something new. It might be that you radically change it, if someone's really good and they're good at, you could take the pieces apart and rebuild, but simple upcycling could just be as much as like shortening the sleeves, shortening the length, tailoring it in, dyeing it.
Yes, that would be great. That would also be great. And I think when you've bought a product for, you bought it secondhand, it's a nominal price. It's not going to be really expensive, so it's great for you just to have a go on doing some tie-dye, bleach.
And I think, if your first few goes, I think I wouldn't say, I would imagine that it wouldn't be your first effort. But I think also if you wear to test things, which is really important, which I'm sure you've done for years, you have to wear to test things to see whether it works. If you sew crystals on something and you start walking around, they all fall off. It can't be sold. So you've got to build that in as well. Does that work? Is it something right now that's a trend? What could you do? So, for example, most people go to fast fashion companies because they tap into trends really, really quickly.
And that's a sad thing,
and it is, but it means that they can get hold of something that's potentially been a runway trend quite quickly. Yeah. What can you do that you go, actually, I'm going to make circular fashion into a trend item?
Yes, I like it. Yeah, absolutely. Circular fashion is something so easy to get involved in, and you're doing something really great. You're taking a product, exactly as you said, out of landfill. We're going to recreate it into something beautiful, whether I'm going to wear it or somebody else is going to find joy in it
and
as well.
And the creativity's fun as well. It 100%. Kind of gives you that element of, this is what I've always wanted. I mean, we've all, I definitely did it when I was younger. I saw things on, Jennifer Aniston, thought, I want to do that. You can do that with things that are already in existence, and a seamstress, or someone who can it doesn't have to be a seamstress, it can be someone who can do a hem. If you can't hem, take it there, get it shortened. If you can dye things at home, you can buy, boxes of dye on, all of those things. And it's fun as well. Make it fun, make it something that you go, oh my God, how exciting is that? And I love that element of creativity, which might not have been afforded to you in school or in college, or maybe you just...
I think the joy about it is exactly what you said when you say you test it. Now, so for example, you said about the crystal idea. So me and Ariana made a shirt. We cut the sleeves off. We didn't have to hem it because it was just a shirt, and we dyed it. And then she wore it. And as you're doing that little wearing test, somebody says to you, I really love your shirt, Ariana. Yeah. Where did you get that? And you say, I made it.
Well, it's like
and what better feeling
it's
is
like
that?
the tie-dye trend in lockdown.
Oh my God,
was
yeah.
tie-dyeing, and
Yeah, I think
now
that's when we
obviously-
made it.
I think
Yeah.
we did exactly the same. So we did tie-dye in lockdown, and I was
Yeah.
blown away by how simple it was and how
Yeah.
good they were. And in my head, I was thinking I should sell these. Little did I know, every other single person in the whole of the world was also selling tie-dye.
Literally.
But it worked for a time.
Yeah.
It was a thing. You know, everyone was tie-dyeing Nike socks. They were probably,
Yes.
you know, they didn't anything. And the thing is, it gives it a new lease of life. Something that you didn't didn't wear, or someone else wants it. It could be from a clearance centre.
Yeah.
It could be, you know, it's come from anywhere, and then you make it new again and make it exciting. And it's beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So it could be that someone else sees beauty in something that you've created. And I love that. I love the idea of someone going, oh my, I love that.
Will you make me one?
Yeah, that's something that I want.
I think it's a way of testing your creativity, testing your ideas. It doesn't have to be, you know, a whole Instagram account. It doesn't have to be a whole business. It can just be you wearing it. Yeah. Going to your friend's party, going to the cinema, and someone saying, excuse me, I really love your T-shirt.
Yeah. I mean, it could be...
That's how a business can start.
Exactly, and it could be the seeds of you going, actually, if I wanted to do this on a grander scale, you can actually pay people to dye things in vats on your behalf. But you've come up with the sample. Ultimately, you're sampling. That's what you're doing.
Exactly.
And it could be the seeds of a
Just
bigger idea.
Just to briefly touch on that. So sampling, again, I'm sort of 15, 16. What does sampling mean? Give me that's
so
a
the
nice
sample
fashion
is
terminology.
a first version of a garment that you get to see the size in, the fit, and you wear it, test it.
Yeah.
It's the first version of anything that becomes a collection.
Perfect. So this is what you're doing. Like, I love this, you know, throughout the podcasts, everybody that I speak to obviously works in the industry and uses all this lovely terminology that if we can drop in and people start using it, because if you can see yourself as a designer from the beginning, you're almost manifesting this career, this job, this life for yourself.
Yeah.
And then you start using little terminology.
Yeah.
Oh, it gets really impressive,
which you genuinely wouldn't get to hear, I guess,
No.
unless you were working in it.
Well, you wouldn't read that in a magazine.
No, you can pick up that language, can't you, and then start to use it in its in context.
And it sounds good, doesn't it?
It does sound good.
So we're making our samples, our T-shirts or socks or jackets or shirts, whatever it is we're doing, we're wearing it, and then people are really admiring it. And that's how we grow in confidence.
Yeah.
And I think sustainability, also we're ticking that box, but this upcycling, DIY, it's so very now. Do you know, like many, like say 5-10 years ago, people would wear things once and then they would get rid of it. So now this is such an amazing trend for young designers to get involved in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I love the idea that it becomes unique as well.
And it's so unique.
We go back to
So
people
true.
like Vivienne Westwood, and when she first had her shop, you know, all them years ago, and she was into punk, and she was a lot of hers was upcycled. A lot of things she was doing were unique. Each piece, the things that they were adding to things, and obviously her collections became something different. But I loved she was always unique, even though she might have been wearing her own collection. She always had that element of, oh, this is what I've done with it, and you know, and I think it's nice to take it back to that, because I think fast fashion, what it's meant is that there's a whole raft of people wearing the exact same, and you're talking from top to toe, shoes, bag, it's all identical. It gives people back their identity to go, yeah, this is one of a kind, and I love that, because that's true fashion.
It really is. One of the questions that came through was how to support a young person, teenager. They wanted to create their own style, and I couldn't agree more that upcycling, sustainability, circular fashion is how to create their own style. Because if you buy that one jacket, and you do to that jacket, you shorten the cuffs on it, you know, you take the pockets out, you put some bead in here, that's just that one piece. Yeah. And there'll never ever be anything else like that ever again. You know, and it'll be hard for you to recreate that if you wanted to do multiple pieces.
It's bespoke. Ultimately,
so
that's what it is.
How your own style as a young person, how you can, you know, how you can get it out of your head and onto your body.
And I think it's important. It's a really nice outlet for your personality as well. Yeah. Because isn't it important to say to them, if you like that, that's you do you, and you wear the thing that makes you feel like you and represents a little bit of you. If you know, if you're into a certain, I don't know, if you're into a certain genre and it represents you, your clothes should as well. Because if we all become identical, then that's where you lose your personality as well. And I think it's a really nice form and a really nice way to express a little bit of you as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. We went to the Beyonce concert and people had customised things.
That's so cute.
You know, like someone had on the back of a jacket a screen print of the Beyonce.
Yeah.
So it can be anything from punk rock to,
Anything.
you know, Beyonce.
I love it.
to,
I saw it at the Harry Styles. I didn't go, but I saw people going to Harry Styles and the Elton John concerts. I love the idea that people
customise
it was their version of it was their celebration of the concerts. It was their celebration of music, but that's the clothes with it was their
well, it goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think if you're thinking about ways to test your style and sort of say, well, I'm really this person in my own head and I like looking at these things, and then you create a product from that. This can also, it goes well with your sort of education. So whether you're applying for college, whether you're applying for internships, you can build a portfolio or a photo shoot around this product. You can really say, well, I've made this jacket and I really loved it. This was the process that I did.
Understanding the process is really important, isn't it? Yeah, where it came from. Because I think that's the bit I've been explaining to my daughter about art.
Yeah.
I said, it's not the final piece, because it's not about you being the best artist in the world. It's how that piece came to be, the inspiration for it, the things, the practice runs that didn't work out, trying things in different applications. This is what I looked at. These are the images from the inspiration, the place that I went, that I saw it, and all of those things. And then that's where the marks are. The marks are in the preparation, and I think that's what the same thing when you're designing is the piece, the end piece is all. It's the time and the effort that went into the design process and the inspiration, all of those things, and the end piece is ultimately what goes and it leaves. It flies the nest and you sell it.
Absolutely.
But what you're left is what all that time that you spent on, and that's where the money comes in with the big designer items, isn't it? It's not necessarily the garments. It's the effort that's gone into creating the garments.
It's like when you think about these couture Chanel dresses, and I think there was a lace one, and there was a couple of women in France that, they're like, 80 years old, and they'd sit for thousands of hours creating the lace for one particular, couture gown. Well,
that's the rules around couture, isn't it? It's got to take so many seams, just as they've got to have so many people working, and there's a number of hours that it has to have been worked on each garment, and that's what makes it couture as opposed to bespoke.
It's like when you watch the programmes and they're all in the white jackets and you can see why.
And everything. Yeah, it's a science.
They sit for hours and hours doing the tiniest.
It's a craft.
It is.
It
really is.
Yeah.
But that same applies to an upcycled piece. There will be a craft and there will be hours that say for example, you've moved on, you're a little bit older and you've paid people and then a fair wage to do the craft or to do the art or the work, whatever, on that product. That's also part of sustainability. It's paying people a fair wage.
Absolutely. I think luckily because we live in this country, for us that's never been an issue. It's not something we've ever had to drill down on because that's you get given a quote and that's what you pay, and we've never queried or questioned it because that's what we do. I think it's when you start to outsource, that's when you need to be getting accreditations. That's when you need to be getting certificates from factories and saying, are you accredited? Do you pay a fair wage? Are you under the various schemes that cover that? Because there are lots of schemes, lots of accreditations that you don't have to worry about. As long as you know that they're accredited by that scheme, you don't have to do the legwork, so that's good as well. But it's important that you care that they're accredited and you care that they pay a fair wage. We do all of our applications in the UK, so we haven't had to worry about that.
Yeah, the same. So we obviously has our tailors in-house, so we can manage staff, staff environment, wages, culture, all those things. So we could sort of look after that.
I mean, I might be naive. Maybe there are things in people in this country that I'm sure that there are some people who are that sounds terrible. People aren't paying a fair wage, but we've never had to worry about that because it's always just been, this is the quote and they're quoting and it seems fair.
Absolutely.
And we go with it.
Yeah, but I think that's just something to think about going forward, is obviously as you think about yourself as a designer, that will something that you will encounter as your business grows, obviously, is when you take on staff and when you outsource. Yeah,
and I think it's something, that all goes back to what fast fashion means. I think when you look at, again, something I've been explaining to my daughter, if it's £8, it's got the fabric, someone's had to stitch it, the fabric, first of all, the crops had to be, if it's cotton, it's got to be grown, someone's got to pick it, and then it's got to be spun into the fabric it becomes. If it's got a button on and it's all of those things, how is that in that small? And then there's a profit within that as well. And I think when you become to do your own, you very quickly pick up that it's not possible. No. It is impossible to pay anybody anything fair unless unless you pay correctly. And the price of the garments is priced fairly as well. Yeah. There's no such cheap. The only people who win are the brand owners. Anyone else behind the scenes, someone's not getting paid a fair wage.
I think when you break it down like that and you look at £8, and all of those things going back to
that's not even the whole process.
Grown.
I've missed that. That's
the warehouse, storage.
Someone picking it, someone packing it, all of those things. When you do break it, obviously as a business owner, for you just go straight away. Someone's losing out there.
I couldn't buy the fabric for £8.
No.
Yeah.
No.
You know what I mean? Never mind your fastenings and every other thing.
Yeah, so whether it's, it's because sustainability covers the ethical side of things as well. Yeah. So is it sustainable as a role, as a job, as an industry? No, it's not.
No.
Because that somebody somewhere is getting badly treated, ultimately.
I think because we're business owners and because we know the exact breakdown of a fashion product, you can break that down in your head and go, there's absolutely no way this is ever going to work for £8. No. Whereas a general person might go, okay, they don't break it down the way that we would. And I think if you're thinking about yourself as a sustainable brand, or you would like to become a sustainable brand or designer, and you've got an awareness of product, then I think you have to start looking at it like that.
Yeah, I mean, our brand is, the reason we went down the sustainability route, it wasn't down to, we think all fashion should be sustainable.
Yeah.
We don't think that there should be a sustainable collection in fashion and then we think that everybody, from little things like our packaging we have a zero plastic policy.
True, we didn't even talk about packaging.
So we have all of our bags are compostable. They right now they cost us an arm and a leg. When we're big, it'll, the price per unit will come down. It's so important to us, so they're compostable. Everything that we use is recyclable packaging or recycled card already. Yeah. And then all of those things that we think, if everybody made those simple changes, then it makes a huge difference. The amount of single-use plastic that wouldn't go into the system and end up in landfill and not be able to biodegrade would make a huge difference. So our idea is that we are a sustainable brand, but because we think everyone should be making these small changes.
I mean, we didn't even talk about packaging. So end to end, so you're thinking about, you bought your product from vintage, secondhand, you've used something you already had in the house, you've upcycled it, you've thought about how you're going to price it to make some money back on it.
Yeah. You paid your seams just correctly.
You paid your seams just correctly. And then exactly how do you package that up?
If you go I think
puts everything else.
If you go and put it in a plastic,
what's the point?
It's pointless. Because that's going to go into landfill, and inevitably your shirt is going to biodegrade before your plastic bag does.
No way. So true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these are just the elements you've got to think about when you're thinking about becoming a sustainable designer.
Yeah.
But I think the joy about what we've discussed today is that it seems like I could have a go at that. Exactly as you said, the socks. Like, I can't sew. I don't even want to put a pair of fabric scissors onto any fabric. No. I'm just going to do it on some socks or a baseball cap or something that... Something
that looks a bit tatty in your wardrobe. Take it out. Why don't I wear it? In the same way as you do when you're getting dressed. I don't wear that anymore. Charity shop. No, take it out. What could I do with it? Even if you wouldn't wear it again in a different form, would someone else with one of your friends, she'd probably wear that. Yeah. She loves crystals, or she loves tie-dye, or, she loves those crop shirts. I'll make one, try it.
If you're thinking, maybe I don't want to be a fashion designer, but I want to be a fashion stylist or a fashion merchandiser, then I think this is also great. Because you can have, exactly you said, to take 10 pieces out of your wardrobe. I don't wear any of them. I'm going to style them differently. Or I'm going to style them with something else. And that's dipping your toe into becoming a stylist, becoming a merchandiser. Yeah. Maybe you might resell them without doing anything to them. And that's, thinking a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just so many different things can come from this,
it's about reframing the product.
Yeah.
And again, obviously coming from a styling background, because I can't sew and because I've never had that ability to upcycle something physically myself. So I would reframe a garment and then think, how would I say of that? I've always worn that with trousers. Or you'd always put that with trousers. Yeah. What if it becomes a dress?
Yes.
What if you whip the trousers off, make it into a mini dress and put it with heels? What does it look like? You belt it. But that's styling, isn't it?
Absolutely.
About reframing, taking a blazer and belting it up and making it into a dress and rolling the collar over and all of those things. If upcycling isn't your bag, then there's other options. Styling's a good one because obviously that's where my joy comes, because I think you could do a million things with that. It doesn't need to be cast aside. What could we do with it?
I think what's so inspirational about you is exactly what you just said, which was, I don't like, I can't sew a button on.
No.
But you have a fashion brand.
Yeah.
And that's what's so inspirational for young people to listen to say, oh, what a great role model. She's created an amazing sustainable fashion brand with your partner, Rachel. But you can't sew a button on.
Well, I acknowledge my limitations.
Just dispels the myth, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I
really
understand that. I'm not a designer. I don't pretend to be, but there are things when you own a business, you can't do all the things brilliantly yourself. So I understand what my limitations are, and Rachel's the same. We both go, well, we're not designers, so what are the things that we can outsource? So we've got the idea. Victoria Beckham has acknowledged that she isn't able to do all those beautiful design pictures, but someone else can. If you can get the idea across to someone else, and then it can go into a pattern, you've got a design. I know, maybe some other people might say, oh, it's it doesn't seem fair, but there's other parts of fashion business that I do understand, and I stick in my lane.
Yeah.
I know what I'm good at, and then the rest of it we can go, I've got this idea in my head, can you put it down on paper? Can you make it a reality?
And that's the idea of collaboration.
Yeah.
So if you and your best friend loves to draw and illustrate, you can explain it, she draws it, and your mum makes it, or your nan makes
and
it.
Also,
it doesn't have to
and
be.
I think also I'm probably thinking about it from an old-fashioned perspective. Ultimately now there's an app that can do everything. Rachel's a little bit younger than I am, and she charges in there's an app for that. There I am on pen and paper. She goes, no, Joe, there's an app for that. No. And that's another thing. Harness the power of technology to make your dreams. So what apps and what software can you download that will make your dream, turn it into something, and then you can do. Are you great at Instagram? So you can then be the person that sells it on social media, or it might be that you're great at design, and then there's an app for doing all of your everything else. Or you could collaboration come together with someone who loves taking photos and videos and taking TikToks, and give them your product, and you've got bingo, you've got a business.
I love it. What an amazing way to finish the podcast. Love that, Jo. Thank you so much for being on the podcast again.